The sterile white walls of the medical bay felt suffocating as Princess Zira sat on the examination table, her iridescent skin shifting colors with each anxious breath. Dr. Cathrax's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he reviewed the diagnostic results floating in the holographic display before him. "Your condition is getting worse, Your Highness," the doctor said, his tentacles twisting nervously around his medical scanner. "The destruction of our homeworld has affected you more severely than we initially thought." Zira's antenna drooped. "Tell me straight, Doctor. How bad is it?" "Your species' unique biology requires something we call the resonance, the social energy generated by genuine appreciation and approval from others." Dr. Cathrax brought up a diagram showing Zira's declining vital signs. Traditionally, this came from the crystal ceremonies on Xathor, where millions would gather to share in collective appreciation of performances. The princess touched the small crystal shard hanging from her neck, the last piece of her homeworld she had managed to save. "But Xathor is gone." The devourer swarm saw to that. "Yes," the doctor's voice softened. "And now your body is slowly shutting down without the resonance. You need applause, Your Highness. Real, genuine applause from an audience moved by your performance, the kind that makes their souls sing and their hearts soar." Zira stood up, pacing the room as her skin flickered between shades of blue and gray. "But we're in deep space. The refugee fleet has no entertainment venues, and most species out here don't even have the capacity to generate the kind of emotional energy we need." Dr. Cathrax brought up a star map. "That's why I've been researching nearby systems. There's one species that might be able to help, primitive by our standards, but their capacity for emotional expression and appreciation of arts is remarkable." A blue and green planet appeared in the hologram. "They call it Earth. Humans." Zira's antenna perked up slightly. "The ones who make those strange noise patterns they call music." "The very same. Their entertainment industry is surprisingly sophisticated, and their ability to generate genuine emotional responses rivals that of ancient Xathor." The doctor manipulated the display, showing scenes of human theaters and concerts. More importantly, they practiced this curious custom called applause, the rhythmic striking of their hands together to show appreciation. Zira watched the recordings of human audiences clapping, her crystal pendant humming faintly in response to even the recorded energy. "You think this could substitute for the resonance? It's your best chance for survival." Dr. Cathrax's expression grew serious. "But there's a catch. No human has ever applauded an alien performance before. Their civilization is still adjusting to the reality of extraterrestrial life. You'll have to find a way to not just perform for them, but to truly move them." The princess squared her shoulders, her skin settling into a determined shade of purple. "How long do I have?" "Without intervention. 3 Earth months, perhaps 4. The doctor hesitated. "There's one more thing, Your Highness. Given the diplomatic situation, it would be best if you went unofficially. No royal titles, no diplomatic fanfare. Just another refugee seeking a new life on Earth." Zira nodded, clutching her crystal pendant. "Very well. I'll leave tomorrow. After all," she added with a faint smile, "how hard can it be to impress a primitive species?" Dr. Cathrax watched her leave, all 4 eyes blinking with concern. He hadn't told her the worst part. If she failed to earn genuine applause, the psychic shock of rejection would kill her faster than the lack of resonance ever could. Zira stood in Times Square, her holographic disguise making her look like a regular human street performer. The crystal around her neck hummed weakly as waves of noise, light, and human emotions washed over her. After 3 days on Earth, she was starting to wonder if Dr. Cathrax had made a mistake. Her first attempt at street performance hadn't gone well. The crystal harmonics that would have brought tears of joy to Xathorian audiences only made humans cover their ears and hurry past. A few had thrown small metal discs at her feet, but the weak pity energy from these tips did nothing for her failing system. "Hey, you're doing it all wrong," a voice called out. Zira turned to see a human male approaching, his clothes slightly wrinkled and his hair messy. He carried a worn leather bag with Broadway Dreams Theater printed on it. "I am Mike Chen," he said, picking up one of her crystals. "And whatever this is, it's not working. But there's something different about you, something special." Zira's hologram flickered for a split second as she snatched the crystal back. "I don't need help. I just need to make humans appreciate my performance." Mike raised an eyebrow. "Look, I've been directing shows for 10 years. Right now, you're just making noise. You need to understand human entertainment if you want anyone to watch." A wave of dizziness hit Zira. Her energy levels were dropping faster than expected. Maybe she did need help. "What do you suggest?" "First, lose these." Mike gestured at her crystals. "Second, come with me to my theater. It's small, but it's a start. I can teach you what makes humans tick." "And why would you help me?" Zira asked, her antenna twitching beneath the hologram. Mike looked around at the bustling square. "Because I'm tired of seeing the same old acts. You're different. There's something otherworldly about your performance. If we can channel it the right way, we might create something amazing." Before Zira could respond, her hologram glitched again. Mike's eyes widened. You're not human, are you?" "Please," Zira whispered, her true iridescent skin showing through the failing disguise. "Don't tell anyone. I just need to learn how to perform for humans. My life depends on it." Mike was quiet for a moment, then grinned. "Are you kidding? This is perfect. An actual alien performer. This could revolutionize theater. Come on. We've got work to do." As they walked through the crowded streets, Zira felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe this human could help her understand what made Earth's audiences tick. She just had to trust him, and hope her strength lasted long enough to learn. What she didn't tell him was that according to her internal monitors, she had less than 2 months left. The clock was ticking. Stop," Mike called out as Zira attempted another dance move. "You're too perfect. Humans aren't perfect. We stumble, we hesitate, we feel." It had been 2 weeks since Zira started training at Mike's small theater. While her natural grace made her an excellent dancer, something was still missing. Her skin shifted to a frustrated purple beneath the hologram. "I don't understand," she said, sitting down on the edge of the stage. "I've copied every movement exactly. My timing is flawless. That's the problem." Mike ran his hands through his messy hair. "Look, try this. Think about your home. About what you lost." Zira touched her crystal pendant. As memories of Xathor flooded back, her dance movements changed. No longer mechanical perfection, but something raw and real. Her crystal hummed, picking up the emotional energy. "Yes," Mike shouted. "That's what I'm talking about. You're not just moving anymore. You're feeling." But the moment was interrupted by another dizzy spell. Zira stumbled, her hologram flickering. Mike rushed to help her up. "You're getting worse, aren't you?" he asked quietly. "That's why you're really here." Zira nodded weakly. "My species, we need appreciation to survive. Real, genuine appreciation. On my world, it came from the crystal ceremonies. Here I thought your applause might work, but you need more than just a few claps from passersby." Mike finished. "You need a real audience, real emotion." They spent the next few hours working on facial expressions. Zira struggled with human smiles. Her first attempt looked more like a grimace that sent Mike into fits of laughter. "Maybe we're approaching this wrong," Mike said finally. "Instead of trying to make you more human, we should embrace what makes you different." He connected his phone to the theater's sound system. Earth music filled the space, something called pop. Zira's crystals responded automatically, adding harmonics that transformed the simple tune into something otherworldly. "This," Mike whispered, watching as Zira's natural movements synced with the merged music. "This could work. We just need to." But he was interrupted by a crash from backstage. Sarah, one of the theater's regular performers, stood there with a dropped prop box, staring at Zira's now fully visible alien form. The hologram had failed completely. "I can explain," Mike started, but Sarah was already pulling out her phone. "Wait," Zira called out, but it was too late. Within seconds, the recording was uploaded. Her secret was out, and with less than a month of energy left, Zira wasn't sure if that would doom her or save her. The video hit 10 million views in less than 24 hours. Real Alien Dan CR Discovery in NYC read the headlines. Social media exploded with clips of Zira's crystal-enhanced performance, her iridescent skin and fluid movements captivating viewers worldwide. "This changes nothing," Zira said weakly, lying on the theater's old couch. Her skin had dulled to a sickly gray. "Online views don't generate the energy I need." Mike paced the room, his phone buzzing constantly with calls from media outlets. "But it changes everything. Look at these comments. People aren't scared. They're amazed. They want to see more." Sarah, who had posted the video, sat nearby looking guilty. "I'm sorry I exposed your secret. I'd never seen anything so beautiful." Zira's crystal hummed faintly at the genuine compliment, but it wasn't enough. She needed more. The local news vans outside weren't helping either. "We need to control this," Mike said firmly. "If we're going public, we do it our way." He pulled up his laptop and showed them the notifications. "Every major venue in the city wants to book you. Even Broadway's interested." But there were other messages too. Anti-alien protesters were organizing. Religious groups called her presence a sign of the end times. Government agencies wanted to investigate the situation. "I don't have time for bureaucracy," Zira whispered. According to her internal monitors, she had barely 2 weeks left. "I need to perform. Now." Mike clicked on one particular email and smiled. "Then it's a good thing I know someone at the Winter Garden Theater. They're between shows right now, and the owner owes me a favor." "Broadway." Sarah gasped. "But the protesters." "We'll have to deal with it," Mike finished. "This is our chance. One show, all or nothing. We'll combine your crystal harmonics with our choreography, add some modern music." Zira stood up shakily. "I'll need to drop the hologram completely. If we're doing this, they need to see the real me." "That's the point," Mike said. "No more hiding. We'll show them something they've never seen before. Something out of this world," Sarah suggested with a grin. Despite her weakness, Zira managed a proper human eye roll, something she'd learned from Mike. Maybe there was hope after all. But as they began planning the show, none of them noticed the black vans parking outside the theater, or the men in suits taking notes. The next few days would change everything, not just for Zira, but for human-alien relations forever. The Winter Garden Theater buzzed with nervous energy during final rehearsals. Zira stood center stage, her skin a kaleidoscope of colors, as she moved through the choreography. Her crystal harmonics merged perfectly with the orchestra, creating music that had the hardened stage crew wiping away tears. 10 minutes, everyone," Mike called out. He looked exhausted but proud. The last week had been intense, dealing with government agents, teaching the orchestra how to sync with alien crystals, and keeping the protesters outside from storming the theater. Zira stumbled slightly, catching herself on a prop. Her energy levels were critically low. According to her monitors, she had less than 48 hours left. "Your Highness," a familiar voice called from the shadows. Dr. Cathrax emerged, all 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "You should have told them who you really are." The rehearsal stopped. Mike stepped forward. "What does he mean, Your Highness?" Zira's skin turned a deep blue of shame. "I'm not just any refugee. I'm the last princess of Hathor. When the Devourer swarm attacked, I was performing in our greatest crystal ceremony. My connection to the resonance was so strong that I survived. But now you're dying because you lost your audience," Mike finished. "Why didn't you tell me?" Because I wanted to earn this on my own, Zira said softly. On Xathor, they applauded because they had to. Here, I wanted it to be real. A crash from the lobby interrupted them. The protesters had broken through the first security line. No aliens on Broadway. They chanted. We have to cancel, Sarah said, rushing in. There's too many of them. But Zira stood straighter, her crystal glowing. No, I've spent my life performing for people who were required to appreciate me. Tonight, I perform for those who choose to be here. Mike watched her for a moment, then nodded. Places everyone. Sarah, tell security to let the protesters in, but only if they buy tickets. As the house lights dimmed, Zira felt her strength fading. But for the first time since leaving Xathor, she wasn't afraid. Tonight, she would give Earth a performance they'd never forget, or die trying. The Winter Garden Theater was packed, with an unusual mix of Broadway regulars, curious onlookers, and even some protesters who'd bought tickets just to disrupt the show. Secret Service agents lined the walls, their earpieces glinting in the dim light. Backstage, Zira collapsed into Mike's arms. Her skin had faded to an almost transparent gray. I can't, she whispered. No strength left. Listen to me, Mike said firmly. You're not just performing for them anymore. You're bridging two worlds. This is bigger than applause now. Sarah burst into the dressing room. We've got trouble. Someone leaked your royal status online. There's media everywhere, and she hesitated. Some of the protesters are saying Earth shouldn't harbor alien royalty. Zira's antenna drooped. They're right. I've been deceiving everyone. No, Mike said. You've been showing us something real. The most real thing I've ever seen. He helped her stand. 5 minutes to curtain. What do you want to do? Zira touched her crystal pendant, feeling its weak pulse. Then, with shaking hands, she removed her holographic projector completely. I'm done hiding. The orchestra began their warm-up, the familiar notes mixing with crystal harmonics. But before Zira could reach the stage, a group of protesters pushed past security into the backstage area. Go back to your own planet, one shouted, not realizing the cruel irony of his words. Zira straightened up, her royal training taking over. With the last of her strength, she stepped forward. The protesters fell silent, seeing her true form in person for the first time. My planet is gone, she said, her voice carrying through the theater's perfect acoustics. My people are scattered. All I have left is this. She held up her crystal. Our art, our soul. Tonight, I'm not asking for your applause. I'm asking for a chance to share something beautiful. The crystal glowed weakly, sending soft harmonics through the air. One by one, the protesters lowered their signs. In the audience, phones came out to record this unplanned moment. Places, Mike whispered, tears in his eyes. Zira nodded, walking onto the stage. She had maybe minutes left. But if these were to be her last moments, she would make them count. The curtain began to rise. The performance began like nothing Earth had ever seen. Zira's weakened state made her movements raw, genuine, desperate. Her crystal harmonics wove through the human music, creating something that transcended both species' art forms. Her skin shifted through colors with each movement, not the usual bright displays of her people, but pale, fading hues. In the orchestra pit, musicians played with tears streaming down their faces as the alien harmonics touched something deep in their souls. Mike watched from backstage, hands clenched. He could see Zira's strength fading with each passing minute. Even the protesters in the audience sat transfixed, their signs forgotten at their feet. For her final sequence, Zira pulled out her crystal pendant, her last piece of home. As she danced, she told the story of Xathor's destruction through movement and harmony. The crystal song carried the grief of a lost civilization, the loneliness of a refugee, and finally, the hope found in a new world. Then, silence. Zira stood center stage, her skin almost transparent now. She had given everything. In the quiet moment that followed, she closed her eyes, accepting her fate. At least she would die having shared her people's legacy. A single clap echoed through the theater, then another, and another. Suddenly, the entire audience was on their feet. The applause wasn't just loud. It was thunderous, genuine, filled with raw emotion. Protesters clapped alongside theater critics. Secret Service agents wiped away tears while maintaining their posts. Zira's crystal blazed with brilliant light. The pure appreciation, the genuine connection between performer and audience, was stronger than anything she'd experienced even on Kathor. Her skin burst into vibrant colors as the resonance flooded through her. Mike rushed onto stage, catching her as she stumbled. But this time, it wasn't from weakness. It was from the overwhelming surge of life-giving energy. "They understand," she whispered, looking at the still applauding audience. "They really understand." The applause continued for 20 minutes. News channels broadcast it live worldwide. Videos went viral instantly. But more importantly, something shifted that night. Humanity had been touched by alien art, and alien art had been given new life by humanity. 1 week later, construction began on Earth's first crystal theater, and Zira, no longer just a refugee princess, became something more. A bridge between worlds, proof that art could transcend the stars themselves. She never needed to worry about applause again.